Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsey. Today I'm excited to be sharing with you my first alternative project using the July 2022 paper pumpkin kit called Sending Good Thoughts. This fun kit created 9 cards, 3 in 3 different designs. Here are the original cards that you can make with the kit. If you are interested in seeing me unbox this kit or create these cards, you can watch my unboxing video, and I'll link it up here in the top right corner. What I like to do is take the contents of the kit and create my own cards. Today we're going to be creating this fun card using the kit and maybe just a couple other things from my craft room. If you are new to my channel and want to see more of my videos, click on the subscribe button and then the bell for notifications. I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and help you with any of your paper crafting needs. To purchase any of the products you see me use today, please visit my online store, and the link is below in the description. So to begin creating this card, we're going to need to cut some of the pieces from the kit down. We're going to start with our envelope. So this beautiful envelope is what I used for this lighter color in the background. What I like to do is just trim off the sides. And this is just going to open the envelope from the front to the back. And we'll take the front of the envelope and we're going to cut it down to the size that I want. And I want it there to be a little border, so I'm going to cut it starting at 4 inches and then cutting at 5 1/4 inches. And then any of those leftover pieces you can use for other projects. So we're going to get this really plain piece of paper. What I like about it is that it does have a white core. So we're going to rip it along the bottom edge here, and that's going to give us this nice white kind of detail as we tear it. Okay, so we're going to get something that looks like that for the background piece. Then we're also going to use this piece here. This is the pattern embossed striped piece. And you can see that I've cut it into a 1/2 inch strip and just used it across my card. To get that, I actually cut it in half at 2 inches. You can see here that that's a 2-inch cut. And then I just removed 1/2 inch from that inside piece because I didn't want it to have the lighter color. I wanted it to be darker. So I'm just going to go ahead and take my 2-inch piece and line it up with my 1/2 inch mark and trim off a 1/2 inch. So you do have some of these extra pieces left over that you can use on another card, or you can make more of that card if you're interested in doing that as well. For our background, we're also going to need an accent piece. This piece is just a Pacific Point piece of cardstock that is 3/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And I'm just going to go ahead and tear this piece as well. I love that texture that you get with torn cardstock. So you can see here that this is the Olive Stampin' Up! Cardstock actually has the color going through the whole piece of paper. So you get this color. So it's not a white center, it's a full piece. The color goes all the way through the cardstock. All right, so all of that cutting is done. So let's move on to stamping. So let's begin the stamping on the background of our envelope. I'll give you a close-up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create some texture, and I'm going to stamp the Starfish image. Both of these images came in the stamp set from the kit. To do the texture, I'm going to do this kind of netting image. I'm inking it up in basic gray. You could use any ink that you have. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do kind of a rock and roll technique. So I'm just going to focus in 3 areas on my envelope, and I'm not going to stamp the whole image. I'm just kind of rocking and rolling it. And then as some of that color comes off, then I can begin stamping the whole image. And you can see that I get this really fun texture by doing something like that. So I only ink it 1 time. We'll do it again over here. And then you kind of just rock it and just kind of do little sections at a time until some of that ink starts to come off. And then you've got this really fun texture. One last one down here in the corner. Make sure to rotate it around so that you get some different so that the stamp actually looks different as you're stamping it. So that's the first step. The next thing we're going to stamp are the starfish, and I'm going to do that in balmy blue. If you don't have balmy blue, you could also use the Bermuda Bay, maybe do a stamp off, stamp on type of technique. And I'm just going to do some starfish around this net look that we did. Maybe add another one over here. Let me get some scratch paper. Just going to use the envelope. Put some right there. Okay. So something like that. And I can also add more as I need to after I've added some of my other elements. So I wanted this piece of paper to have some texture to it. And one of the easiest ways to do that is just to crumple it up into a ball. And then you go ahead and uncrumple it. And it just gives you this fun texture. So you don't need an embossing folder to always add texture to your cardstock. So let's go ahead. We're just going to fold this in half and use a bone folder to make a nice crease along that score line. And then add this with some adhesive to the front of our card. And then you can just go ahead and smooth that out. Go all the way down. So you'll get something that looks like this. Then we're going to take the Pacific Point and the embossed striped piece. We're going to layer them on top of each other. I just want to see a little bit of that Pacific Point peeking out. So you'll get something like that. And then that gets added to your card base. If you want to use your grid paper just to make sure everything lines up, I kind of did it at about 1 inch from the bottom. You can also bring it up, maybe bring it up to 1 1/4 inches. So you'll get something like that. So there's our background for our elements. So now we're going to stamp some of these elements, more for our focal point. I'm going to begin by stamping the ship, and I found that I get a really nice crisp image if I do a little Versamark underneath my ink. So I'm going to ink up my stamp first in Versamark and then ink it up in the Bermuda Bay Stampin' Spot that came in the kit. And then I'll stamp it inside my bottle. So nice, good amount of ink so you get a nice crisp image. So something like this. Then I'm also going to stamp my greeting, and I wanted this to pull in a little bit of the Pacific Point color. And so if you have Pacific Point, then you can do this. If you don't, then choose another color that coordinates well. And I also wanted a little smaller circle than what they had in the kit. So I cut out a circle that's 1 1/2 inches. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp my greeting right in the center with that Pacific Point ink color. And now we can layer these onto our card base. Let's start with the bottle. I'm going to add it with some dimensionals. The kit does come with dimensionals, so you definitely can use these. I'm using some minis, and the kit came with the regular size, which is nice. This is just going to go right over the stripes, almost all the way to the right side. A little bit of those stars peeking out on the side. If you want to add more of those, you can. I think I might just so they kind of peek out a little bit more in that corner. Then I'm going to take the coral, and this is the red coral, and I wanted to put it down here, but I didn't want it to cover up as much of the boat. So I'm going to trim off this piece right here. So I'm just going to kind of try to make it feel natural, but just the farthest right branch of coral I've just cut off. And then that kind of gives, it doesn't cover as much of the boat. And then I did pop it up with a dimensional at the bottom, and then the others are just adhered with some glue dots, or you could use some liquid glue. I'm just going to put a little dot of glue in every one of these little larger areas, just to make sure that it sticks and stays in place. And then that will cover the ship up just slightly, so that's going to be expected. And you can also bend these just a little bit to make sure they stay on your card. Okay, so just go ahead and get that glue and kind of just slightly bend them just a little bit. All right, so you'll get something that looks like this. Then I'm going to add my greeting, a couple dimensionals on the back. This one actually should probably be at the bottom. I'm going to leave this area open because that's going to be right where the bottle is. And then that gets attached like that. So the last thing that I wanted to add were some of these sequins. This comes from the Adhesive Backed Sequins and Gems. And I love this kind of seafoam, Bermuda Bay, green, blue colored sequins. So I'm just going to go ahead and use 5 of these and add them to my card. And this just gives just that perfect amount of shine to the card. Place some over by the coral, and then one down by the greeting, just like that. And that card is all done. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me create my first alternative card using the July 2022 Paper Pumpkin Kit. If you're interested in subscribing to get your own kit, please do so through the link in the description below. If you'd like to get written instructions or see close-up images of this card, you can visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.